Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's May 17th, and I'm Cy Marie Johnson, and you are listening to Histories of Horror. Unfortunately, this afternoon, A.L. Knuckles is not with me. As many of you know, A.L. has been suffering a lot due to the illness that she's been combating, and things are quite difficult right now, so she's been having quite a hard time with being able to keep food down and the things. So if you would be keen on supporting her by donating to her GoFundMe, which I will have linked in the show notes as I have had in several of the episodes, that would be wonderful. But moving ahead, it's going to be just me today. So sit down, get yourself a drink, and get comfortable, because today we're talking about the digital trail, the Anchorage Snuff video murders. That is, the Brian Smith murders. So today we're looking at a case from Anchorage, Alaska, where a lost digital device exposed a monster hiding in plain sight. Now, I want you to pause on that for a minute. Imagine losing a cell phone containing the literal documentation of your worst depravities, only for a stranger to pick it up, scroll through the gallery, and uncover a living nightmare. That's exactly how the horrific reality of Brian Stephen Smith began to unravel in late 2019. Transforming a routine lost and found scenario into a massive double homicide investigation. The sheer horror of this case isn't just the killings, it's the meticulous, sadistic documentation of the acts. Anchorage police detectives were alerted when a woman came forward with a phone belonging to Smith, containing video and photos that showed the brutal torture and murder of a then unknown woman. The digital evidence laid bare a terrifying truth. Smith had filmed himself torturing his victim, disposing of her body, and attempting to systematically erase the evidence of his crime. Who were the women targeted by this predator? Investigators eventually identified the woman in the video as 30-year-old Kathleen Jo Henry, killed 19. But the horror didn't stop there. While being questioned by detectives confronted with the digital evidence, Smith admitted to a second murder committed a year earlier in 2018. The second victim was identified as 52-year-old Veronica Abushuk, proving that Smith was operating as a serial hunter within the community. We have to talk about the sheer scope of the legal charges brought against this man. A jury convicted him on 14 separate accounts. This included 2 counts of the murder in first degree alongside sexual assault in the second degree, tampering with physical evidence, and misconduct involving a corpse. When the legal system has to charge you for how you treated a human being both before and after death, it shows the depths of the depravity involved. In July 2024, Superior Court Judge Kevin Saxby handed down a massive sentence, ensuring Brian Stephen Smith, then 53, would never breathe free air again. Smith was sentenced to 226 years in prison. The prosecution, led by Anchorage District Attorney Brittany Dunlop and Deputy District Attorney Heather Nebriga, pushed for the maximum to guarantee public safety. It's a stark resolution to a reign of terror, the legal system explicitly stripping away any chance of rehabilitation for an absolute predator. The entire prosecution hinged on the woman who found the digital device and chose to look through the files rather than discard it. In so many cases, the crucial link is an ordinary citizen who stumbles upon evidence and chooses to act, refusing to let a horrifying secret stay buried in a digital folder. It takes an immense amount of fortitude to witness something that graphic and immediately bring it to light. Without her, these families might still be searching for answers. When we look at the timeline, Smith operated under the assumption that the people he targeted wouldn't be missed, or that his tracks were perfectly covered. He preyed on vulnerability, exploiting the isolation of his victims to commit acts of unthinkable cruelty. But the digital footprints are stubborn things. He documented his own downfall, leaving a trail of data that eventually spoke for the victims when they no longer could. This trial became a focal point of intense grief and rallying for the local community, highlighting the ongoing crisis for missing and murdered Indigenous people. Family members and community advocates packed the courtroom for the sentencing, ensuring that the lives of Kathleen and Veronica were honored and not overshadowed by the monster who took them. Their presence was a powerful statement that these women were loved, remembered, and fiercely fought for. We often forget the heavy emotional burden carried by the survivors. Veronica Abushuk's daughter stood up in that courtroom to deliver a powerful victim impact statement. She explicitly wished that Smith would live out the remainder of his life with absolutely no hope, facing the bleak reality of his actions every single day. It was a moment of raw truth that cut through the clinical nature of the legal proceedings. Judge Kevin Saxby did not mince words when sealing Smith's fate with the 226-year sentence. He directly echoed the family's sentiment, stating, "There is no hope. There is no restoration. There is only preventing Mr. Smith from killing again." A definitive statement from the bench that some acts are so predatory, the only just response is permanent removal from society. To this day, the Anchorage case stands as a terrifying reminder of the digital artifacts modern predators leave behind and how a single device can expose a lifetime of hidden malice. It forces us to confront the reality that monsters don't always look like monsters. They live in our neighborhoods, carry phones in their pockets, and rely on silence to survive. But we have to look at the larger systemic crisis surrounding this case. Kathleen Jo Henry and Veronica Obashuk were Alaska Native women, a demographic that faces disproportionate, staggering rates of violence. This case blew up because of a fluke digital discovery, but it highlights the ongoing crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women. For too long, families have voiced heartbreak over law enforcement failures, citing delayed investigation, a lack of resources, and a systemic failure to protect vulnerable Indigenous community members. When the system fails to treat the disappearance of Alaskan Native women with immediate high priority urgency, it creates a vacuum that serial predators actively exploit. Justice shouldn't rely on an accidental digital trail. It requires systemic accountability. And with that said, I want to bring something to light right now that I seen today from Antonia Kamak. Antonia, if you all don't know, is a Native American activist from the state of Alaska. And she is constantly, relentlessly advocating and talking about this fact. In fact, there is an event that's going to be happening, and this is a post from Antonia Kamak. If you want to know how you can help the MMIP advocacy in Alaska, this is one way. You can donate items, services, or gift certificates to the Red Dress Gala or register to attend the Alaska MMIP Justice Summit and Gala from May 27th to 29th, 2026. You can also encourage your organization, corporation, tribe, or business to become a sponsor for the event. There's a lot of ways to help MMIP advocacy in Alaska. If you go to Antonia Comack's Facebook page, she has links to this event and how you can purchase tickets to the event. She also has links to sponsorship packaging and where you can donate items, services, or gift certificates to their silent auction. There is also an event agenda leak in her post. I will go ahead and allow Antonia to speak from her video here so you all can hear directly from her. All right, as you guys could hear from Antonia, that is what's going on. They're asking for help for the MMIWG2S Alaska Working Group. And if there's anything that you would like to offer or donate to support this, it's a wonderful opportunity to help bring awareness to MMIP and is something that we should all be working actively to do every day as far as I see it. So yeah, go ahead and follow Antonio Comack. This is very, very important because the intersectionality from this topic. And, you know, the truth is when the system fails to treat the disappearance of Alaskan Native women without immediate high priority urgency, all it does is signal to the community that these people are continually going to be preyed on to any predator that's looking for prey. And the fact of the matter is, homicide is the leading cause of death for Native American women and girls. And that is simply something that we cannot continue to allow. We cannot continue to allow people like Brian Smith to think that they can come into spaces that are First Nations lands and predate upon our Native American women. We cannot allow that. And so please, please go support Antonio Kamak and bring more awareness to what's going on with Alaska, because Alaska being so remote has a lot of problems like this. And a lot of people go there because it's considered like the last frontier. And they think that the isolation will make it easy for them to prey on people. And that is absolutely true, especially whenever we have law enforcement that fails to do their job or use resources properly. When the system doesn't do what it needs to do, we have to remind the system that we are not going to allow them to do that. So I just want to thank you for joining me on this deep dive into digital trails that brought down a predator in the state of Alaska. And as always, I appreciate your support, as does AL, as we shed light on these stories, even and especially when they are very uncomfortable. Until next time, this has been Histories of Horror. Take care of yourself.